Good morning, everyone. My name is William Close, and I come from a couple different types of background. I studied music, and I studied sculpture, and a little bit of architecture. So, in what I do, I try and bring all those things together to create my art form and to create the musical experience that I offer to the world. Through the years, I've actually invented over 100 unique instruments. Has anyone ever thought about inventing an instrument before, a musical instrument? Yeah? All right. Looks like we have some superheroes here. This is great. Yes. Nice job, guys. And I started very small with that exhaust pipe harp, but in 1999 or 2000, I created the world's first earth harp. Any ideas what an earth harp might be? Yeah. Giant harp, right? That's a great one, a harp the size of the earth. This was an instrument that actually used the earth to create the instrument. That was my idea. So I was looking at, there's some amazing artists that have used landscape and bigger scale situations to create their art. And so I was interested in doing the same thing. So I was asked to create an instrument for an art and science organization. So what I proposed was to actually turn their valley, their giant valley, into a giant harp. So what I did is I actually worked with a team, and we built a number of these giant resonating chambers, roughly the size of a piano. Actually, it looked a lot like a piano. And I mounted those to one side of a valley. All right, so they were attached to one side of the valley. And I ran strings, we ran musical strings 1,000 feet across to the other side. So it turned that valley into a giant harp, the world's first earth harp. Now you might say, well, how did that sound? What is that? Well, that must have been very low sounding. Well, the truth is that I've learned and invented a way to play these strings, these very long strings, in a very unique manner. Rather than plucking the string, you actually put a glove on that has violin rosin dust on it, and you run your hands along the strings. And you actually create a tone that way, a really beautiful tone, in fact. This is the same principle as running your finger on the edge of a wine glass. How many people have done that before to create a tone? Fantastic. So what's happening there is you're actually resonating the wine glass. You're creating what's called a compression wave. What type of wave is it called? A compression wave, exactly. It's a type of vibration where you're actually pushing the vibration in the molecules of the material. As any inventor does, I went through many experiments and processes and explored a lot of different materials and ideas. To start, I created the exhaust pipe harp, and then the next thing I did is I got a bunch of violin bows, and I started bowing things. Have you guys ever bowed anything except for a violin? What other instrument uses a bow? Cello, there's another one.
A viola.
A viola, exactly. So these are all instruments that use violin bows. And what happens with a violin bow, this is kind of interesting, is a violin bow is like a hand with many, 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 many little fingers. And when you run your violin bow along that string, what it's doing is it's catching the string many, many times and actually plucking it and resonating it. So it would be like if you had a hand with 1,000 fingers and quickly ran it across a string, and through doing that you could create a clear, clean tone. That's what's happening with a violin bow. So anyway, I got a bunch of violin bows, and I went around and started bowing things. And I discovered some interesting things. Did you know that you can bow a gong? If you run a violin bow across a gong, it creates an amazing tone. Or a cymbal. See, I bowed a lot of old instruments, like a hurdy-gurdy. You ever heard of a hurdy-gurdy? Well, that's a little assignment for you. When you guys get back to your classrooms, maybe you can look up and see what a hurdy-gurdy is. It's pretty spectacular. And then I started bowing things that weren't instruments. And that's what I found really interesting. I found a metal chair, and I put some violin rosin on it and bowed that chair. You know what? It sounded amazing. I found a, what is the top of a barbecue called? The grill. Thank you. I found a grill and put rosin on that and started bowing that, and that was amazing sounding. So there were all these things that you could actually bow and start to resonate and start to create sound with. Now, can you guys tell me what happens when sound is created? When I started bowing that grill, what was the grill doing to create sound? Right here, she said it, vibrating. Fantastic. So all sound is based on vibration. We know that, right? So when you're speaking, when you're singing, when you're hitting a drum, when you're playing an instrument, what's happening is that thing is in a state of vibration, and the vibration is then vibrating the air around it and setting up sound waves that go through the air and hit our ears. So for instance, if you guys just all put your hand on your chest real quick, and on 3, just create as low a tone as you can. All right, you ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, what did we feel? What? Yeah, vibration. Excellent. All right, so yeah, because what it is our chest is the resonator for our voice. So all those low sounds and all that vibration that happens is happening in our chest. So for me, it literally was about an exploration of vibration. I started with that first exhaust pipe harp, and then by the time I knew enough to create the world's longest stringed instrument, I had studied vibration inside and out. And to this day, I'm still studying it. Different types of music, different types of sound, it's all different combinations and interactions of vibration, musical vibration. And so the earth harp, on Sunday, if you can make the concert, the earth harp is going to be resting on the stage, and the strings go from the chamber, which is about the size of that piano, and they go out and they attach into the back of the theater. And so what it's doing, it's actually turning the whole theater itself into the instrument. So technically, we will all be sitting inside an instrument. Has anyone ever been inside an instrument before? All right, well, Sunday's going to be the chance. But that's the idea, is I wanted to place the audience, or place the listener and myself inside the instrument. And so that's where architecture came into play. And in a lot of ways, the element of architecture is a really important role. How many people know what architecture is? Okay. Architecture is a fancy word for cool buildings or homes or houses. So it's anything that we, this room is a piece of architecture. So through the years, I actually tried combining a lot of different things. Architecture and music, sculpture and music, landscape and music, right? Because we use the landscape to create the earth harp. And then aerial in music, aerial performance. I've done a lot of pieces where the instruments go up in the air. And fashion in music. I was interested in the idea of, well, what happens if you can actually wear the instrument? And that sort of brought about a whole bunch of ideas. I created a violin jacket, and a couple of different things, and eventually came to this piece here. This is called the drum jacket. Okay, let's see, can I have a couple volunteers come up? Why don't you come on up? Okay. I just need you guys to prove that this drum jacket is nice. Wanna try that one? Alright. Let's see. Okay, thanks guys. Did you want to try? Yeah, give it a shot. Okay. You did? Okay, good. Nice job, guys. I'm going to try and create a little music with it. I usually have a full team backing me up, but here's some of the sounds of the drum jacket. Just out of curiosity, if there's anything in the world or ideas that one of you guys would like to invent, anyone want to share that? Yeah, what would you like to invent? Yeah.
These type of shoes that you can have plastic rubber in it.
Sounds great. So he wants to develop a new style of shoe that's going to be waterproof, huh? Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to create time travel.
He wants to invent time travel. Well, that shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, okay, not there. A phone that's indestructible. All right. All right, a couple more. Yeah. Yeah, with the glittery shirt. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, a kind of food where like it can taste like whatever you want.
Well, that sounds delicious. Yes, Mr. Curtin.
Shoes that whenever you step, it makes a different sound.
Hey, that's pretty cool. I like that idea. All right. Yeah, right back there, right behind him. Yeah. You. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You.
A machine that can go travel to another universe.
Okay. All right. So there are lots of ideas for invention. This is fantastic. And I think if there's anything that I want you guys to take away from today is the idea of, well, you know, there's lots of possibilities for creation and inventing new things. One of the things I found that once I started looking at all the musical instruments that already existed in the world is that there were lots of things that haven't been created yet and invented, like a drum jacket. Have you guys ever seen a drum jacket before? Yeah. There was a philosopher, Curtin, who stated, and a lot of people have stated this, Frank Lloyd Wright, the architect, a lot of people have used this quote or this idea. They said that architecture is frozen music. So their idea was that they'd look at a building and they'd look at how beautiful it was, all the rhythmic patterns in it, all the different things, and they'd see music. All right, so they were inspired by music to create the architecture as well. And it would go back and forth. So perhaps music is actually unfrozen music, liquid architecture, unfrozen architecture. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that I want you guys to think in this next exercise, think about what music might look like. Not just sound like, but what it might look like, okay? And I want you guys to draw what you hear, okay? But before we do that, can you guys look around the room, maybe look on the ceiling, or look, do you see anything that is a rhythmic pattern?
Yeah.
Right, the lights, yeah, that's another good one. The wood panels, right? You guys see some rhythmic patterns in the room? Yeah, pretty cool. I want you guys to draw this piece of drum jacket music, okay? Who used shapes? Okay, cool. Okay, let's look at this one. This one's actually really beautiful. This is almost like a texture or an atmosphere of the music. She filled the whole page, and it looks like if the music actually was maybe a blue and purple and pink cloud or something like that, or something we could inhale or drink, right? All right, that's beautiful. Now this is the one. What was your name? Ori? Orit. And Elle. Okay, so this is Elle's right here. Now I walked over a number of times and Elle just had her eyes closed and she was just moving her hands to the music. And that's what it created. Pretty cool. What's your name? Erin. Look at Erin's piece, you guys. Again, you know, it's very strong. She stuck to one color. But you know what? It looks like music to me. I really like that. Nice job. All right, and one final one. What's your name?
Clancy.
Clancy? Clancy. Which side is the flute? Great. This is really beautiful. Clancy, she drew almost these like water droplets. And so it was almost like she was listening to water droplets, right? As you're listening to the flute? That's great. All right. Excellent. Well, let's give these guys a round of applause. And yourselves. You guys are fantastic this morning, and keep on going, keep on inventing. All right.
Wow.
our guests from Education Plus and Camp Curtin were able to join the Silver Academy today. This really made it thrilling to have so many students in attendance.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say one more thing. If you come up with any cool inventions or anything along those lines, post them on up on Facebook or send me a link or something along those lines. It would be great to see them. So if you want to take it to the next level and share it with the world, let us see your inventions. All right.